Imagine becoming so attractive that nobody can resist staring at your face. I want that for you. So I boiled down my 5 years of learning into a 4-pillar formula that you can follow step by step. And by the way, you'll have to take note today because we're going way deeper than simple things like how to get whiter teeth. Looks maxing is so much more than that. And let's be real, you deserve so much more than that. Number 1, the hard truth. Some people are naturally born attractive while others actually have to work step by step figuring out what to do. This will leave you lost and confused. So let's figure out what you can actually do. Linked below, I have a community I created where I talk about this in depth, but more on that later. Take a look at this guy. His name is Jordan Barrett. He was born naturally attractive. He's one of the most world's famous models, and realistically, he just had good genetics. Yes, there were obviously things that he did to improve himself, but at the same time, he would have looked good regardless of anything that he ever did. So this just means that if you're born unattractive, you have to stay that way, right? Well, no, not at all. That's exactly what I'm about to explain. If you were born less attractive than somebody like Jordan Barrett, who's highly attractive, there's never been a better time to document your glow-up experience, and there's never been more information to make the change. I would actually argue that being born naturally highly attractive can put you at a disposition in other ways of life. Jordan Barrett could have never had this glow-up arc that he might have been able to post on social media like I did, which gave me a career. If I was born naturally good-looking, I wouldn't have to make content like this or ever even learn about it in the first place. And guess what? The worst way to permanently ruin your appearance is to assume that there's nothing you can do to actually change, and that's the lie that most young men are told today. And while Jordan Barrett was born naturally attractive, I was not. But I still found a way to gain over 3 million followers on social media and make a career out of my looks. So if you're in my shoes, what should you do? Start with considering your genetic advantages and disadvantages. For example, somebody like Jordan Barrett was naturally very skinny, while some people, on the other hand, might be naturally a little bit bigger and have more fat. This is because of your levels of ghrelin, which is your hunger levels. It's not that one person was genetically fat while another person was genetically thin. It's that one person had a predisposition that led them to being more hungry, which also led them to eat more food. Your genetic makeup is going to determine the advice that you should follow and the advice that you should avoid. This video is not just a bunch of tutorials. It is a formula that you can use based on your own genetics and your own life experience. Think about it as a foundation of what advice you should actually be following in the first place. Pillar 2, a variety of different looks maxes. I want you to look at this. There's a problem here. This is the face of a person who has potential but was not using it. This guy's name is Chris Pratt. He has facial hair. He's literally a celebrity. He has decent style, but the way that he looked, he was doomed for failure. The reason is that Chris did not care or improve the way he looked to his full potential, and this led him to be considered an ugly celebrity according to the internet. Think about this. When you take an average person and improve some things about their face or their style, everyone notices. A good example is if a pale person used a self-tanner. It's a subtle change, but it's impossible to skip over. And the same thing was true for Chris Pratt. When you look at what he looked like in the past, he was overweight, he had a patchy looking beard, and wore clothes that didn't really fit nicely. That's really bad, to be honest. Now, he could have gone on a starvation diet, shaved his beard off, and went to an expensive store and just bought a bunch of random clothes. Most people would assume that this is the best thing to do, but doing this could actually lead to more roadblocks down the line. However, there is a drawback to changing too much at once. Try to notice it as we go over the most important ways to actually change your looks. Diet. This is a combination of foods and drinks that you consume on a day-to-day basis that dramatically affect the way that you look. Eating extremely low-calorie, high-protein is the easiest way to improve your looks. Sleep. This isn't just laying down in your bed and closing your eyes. It's everything that you do throughout the day that leads to the night, and once again has a massive impact on your looks, but also your development over time. This helps with your willpower and sticking to your diet, as well as every other thing that involves looks maxing or improving yourself in any way. Without sleep, a lot of this information could be useless because there's no way you're going to use it and actually stick to a routine if you don't have the willpower to. 3 is specific looks maxes. This is where most people catch you, and it's so easy to lie to you. People will convince you to buy into products that don't work, methods that don't actually help you, all in which just to make more money and grow their own personal brand. This is actually where most looks maxing lies and where most of the lies come from as well. I mean, just look at this video. Do you really believe that doing these facial expressions is going to make you more attractive? Spoiler alert, it's not. So if you're tired of being lied to, feeling lost with the way that you look, not knowing what to do with your life, or even making the amount of money that you want, I highly suggest joining my community linked below, where I give you 40+ video guides on everything that you can do to look better but also make more money even online, as well as getting direct access to me. After every 50 members that join, the price is going to increase, so if you want to lock in a low price forever, join now. Now, you probably remember this from earlier, but there is a drawback from trying to change everything about yourself at once. All of this information can quickly become brain mush if you listen to it all at once. All of this self-improvement variety can lead you to quit all of your good habits and revert back to your bad ones. You risk getting lost when you try to do this tactic and also falling for misinformation. Don't try a looks maxing technique just for the sake of trying it. For example, like I said before, some people have different genetics and not everything is going to apply to every person the same way. It's the same reason that I wouldn't tell a dark-skinned person to wear a self-tanner, yet I would tell a pale person to do so. Oftentimes, improving your looks doesn't even mean using a looks maxing method. Instead, use some of these tricks to actually make long-term changes, not only for your looks but also your health. First, find a set group of high-protein, low-calorie foods that you can eat every single day that don't take too much time out of your day to prepare that you can actually stick with. This will lead to greater muscle mass and more fat loss due to the fact that protein helps with muscle gain and also helps keeping you full, meaning that you're not going to eat as much food. You can also find foods that come pre-prepared, for example, canned chicken, tuna packets, foods of this nature. Once again, it's really hard to stick to improving yourself when you make it hard on yourself. So that's why I always like to make it easy with these tips. Sometimes you can even get high protein options at fast food restaurants if you're on the go and you don't want to take too much time whatsoever. I hear a lot of people talk about how eating high protein is expensive when realistically it's not. You just need to shop on the right aisle, and one of the best aisles is the canned meat aisle, where you'll find the tuna, the chicken, and a bunch of other random meats that actually have high protein, low calorie, and you don't even have to prepare them, not to mention the fact that they're so cheap. Now, if you're somebody like me who's very low maintenance and doesn't really care too much about what I eat, this stuff is completely good for me. If you don't like these foods, there's always going to be more options, but a lot of times they're more expensive as well. Next, you need to make sure that your sleep routine is completely dialed in, especially if you're under the age of 25. Many people believe the misconception that you should be getting 8 hours of sleep every single night, and yes, this isn't totally wrong, but there's a lot of context missing here. Just for an example, the quality of sleep that you're getting is just as important as the quantity. If you're eating too late in the day, if you're drinking too late at night, if you drink alcohol, you smoke, you consume too much sugar or even caffeine at the wrong time of day, this will impact your quality of sleep enough to change the way that you look even long term. The reason I say it's so important for people to lock in on their sleep, especially when they're under the age of 25, is because you're still developing, not only physically but also mentally. And like I've said before, your mental and physical go hand in hand. If you want to look your best, you need the willpower to follow the routines that it takes to get there. Lower sleep quality equals less drive, quick thinking, intelligence in general, and can overall ruin this whole process. Because regardless of what you learn, application is the only thing that matters. And when you're not able to critically think and apply context that I'm giving you, you're not going to be able to improve. And don't even get me started on the actual physical downsides of getting poor quality sleep, like eye bags, acne, poor skin quality, quicker aging, hair shedding due to stress, higher calorie consumption on average, and an absolute laundry list of negative side effects that come with poor quality sleep. To make things completely clear, here's 6 ways that I actually improve my sleep. Number 1 is showing your eyes to the sun the absolute second that you wake up. And no, a window is not enough. You should be going outside as soon as you wake up, because the UV rays will actually set your circadian rhythm the right way, which will help your body naturally release the sleep hormone known as melatonin, so that way you fall asleep at the same time every single night. Number 2 is early morning exercise. Exercise directly impacts your sleep, but the thing is, it's not always positive, it can be negative as well. Working out, especially with high intensity, can dramatically impact your sleep quality, especially when it comes to the time of day in which you do it. The rule of thumb is that the later in the day you're doing exercise, especially with high intensity, the worse sleep you're going to get. And that's why doing it earlier is paramount for your success. Number 3, caffeine. Consuming caffeine is a real life cheat code, but if you do it the wrong way, it can also be your downfall. It really all comes down to your timing. The reason you should be consuming caffeine 1 hour after you're awake is actually something you would never think of. And yes, consuming caffeine 1 hour after you're awake is ideal. Within the first hour that you're awake, you should be consuming water and electrolytes. Your body is going to be depleted of both of those. So why don't you consume caffeine right when you wake up? Well, this is because your body actually won't take it the right way. Within the first hour of waking up, your body does this weird thing that actually keeps you from using the caffeine the right way. But if you consume caffeine after the first hour you've been awake, it'll block something in your body known as adenosine, aka one of the things that makes you feel drowsy and tired, meaning that the caffeine will be more effective at this time, but consuming it a lot later than this can lead to obvious problems with your sleep. The 4th thing that I do is I eat early in the day. And when I say early, I'm talking I try to eat my last meal at 1 p.m. and I go to sleep around 9 or 10 p.m. The earlier you finish your last meal, the higher quality of sleep you get, because your body doesn't need time digesting it at night. Number 5, I make sure every meal that I have is high protein and high fiber. This helps with hunger levels, meaning that late at night, even even though I finished my meal very early, I still don't feel hungry. If you eat junk food like candy or bread, there's two issues caused. Number one, it can lead to extreme cravings, which will make you hungrier later, but it can also just keep you at a general high hunger level, meaning that eating this early in the day is practically impossible for someone like you, which means no matter what, your sleep is going to be worse, whether it's because you're hungry or because you ate so late. And step number 6 is showing your eyes to the sunset. This also helps with circadian rhythm, meaning that you'll get higher quality sleep, but there's also been studies showing that when you view the sun set, especially at night, what happens is your eyes become less sensitive to blue light. And if you didn't know this already, blue light comes from your phone, it comes from the sky, but what happens is it actually kills melatonin, the sleep hormone. Pillar number 3 is action. If you watch this video and you walk away without doing anything, you've actually learned nothing. The only way to learn is to take action, and I call this the breadcrumb method. Start by finding the number one problem that you want to fix with your face, your life, your looks, or anything. Once you find this problem, ask yourself the question, why? Why am I like this? And then you keep asking yourself this question over and over and over until eventually you get to the solution. And it's just like following the trail of breadcrumbs. Now that I explained it, let me give you an example. I have this spot on my face right now. Why do I have this spot on my face? Well, it was likely because I ate something that I wasn't supposed to and my skin flared up. Why did I eat something that I wasn't supposed to eat? Well, it's because a few days ago, I didn't get the right amount of sleep, which led me to feeling a little bit down on myself. I went into a downward spiral, and as a coping mechanism, I decided to eat an unhealthy food just to make myself feel better in the moment, knowing that it was going to make me look worse later. After following the trail of breadcrumbs, instead of feeling lost, I now have a solution that I can follow. If I fix my sleep, I won't eat bad food. If I don't eat bad food, I won't get this acne. Using the breadcrumb method, you can also find simple solutions that you might have not thought of before. Once again, using this spot as an example, I discovered that using a tinted moisturizer can completely conceal it without really putting much effort whatsoever. So now if I get acne, I know that I can just keep using this. Instead of watching a video, I took action, and now I look better and have a better result. You can really do this with anything. I also talk more about all of these really specific things down in my community below, but only join that if you're serious. Pillar number 4 is showcasing. You can improve your looks all you want, but what's really going to come from it? That really only comes down to the way that you utilize and showcase your looks. I was able to gain over 3 million followers on social media and become a millionaire at 20 years old, all because I was able to improve myself and teach other people to do the same. A lot of people will tell you it's cope to have charisma and be charismatic as a person, but looks are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to success in life in every area. If you really think about why you're here and the reason that you're trying to improve, there's some outcome that you want, whether it's making more money, getting more status, getting more girls, any of that. Improving my looks gave me all of that, but I wouldn't have gotten any of it if I was afraid to showcase myself. And that's why having charisma and utilizing your looks is actually more important than improving in the first place. Because if you don't, you put in all this work just to get none of the benefit. I recommend posting on social media, talking to more girls. I recommend utilizing your looks to every advantage that you possibly can. We live in a world where people judge you based on your appearance, and although this game isn't fair, if you're choosing not to play, that's a problem. In my opinion, the absolute best way to utilize your looks is to grow on social media and start making money. So if you want to learn more about that, check out my community linked in the description. If not, you can continue watching my free videos here.